Hell yeah. Before we get into this video, I'd like to mention a few things. One, I have a short film out right now on the internet, and it is called The Falling Row. It was very Uncut Gems inspired, with a little bit of Lynch, Rip the Goat. It was very fun to shoot, and it was just as fun seeing everyone's reactions to it. Also linked below is the webpage for my new EP, mx.chamber. That's right, I released an EP in February. My version of art therapy, I guess. Some genreless, like hip-hop, hyperpop, transgender music. A lot of people really liked it, despite the fact it was a vulnerable piece about finding yourself and relationships. I hope y'all like it too. I told y'all I would keep you up. I told y'all I would keep you updated. I told y'all. But y'all didn't listen. This has been the art that I've been working on for like the past year. It's all finally out, and I've been working so hardcore on it that I really didn't think I would have a chance of putting it out and releasing it. I was really doubting its release. So getting to see people's feelings on my art that I've been working on for so long, it's been really cathartic. Let me know your thoughts. I would love critiques. Seriously. Oh, also, if it's not obvious, I'm as well. The woke mob got me. My character arc has been crazy. I went from gay man to raging lesbian in the span of 10 months, which is why this channel has a different name now, by the way. Life is too short, and if you got a problem with it, go fuck yourself. Introductions out of the way? Cool. Y'all are probably wondering how my film festival went that I've been hyping up for months, and I do have an answer for you, but first, here's a little background. I've been trying the film festival circuit for years with no luck. 2022, I submitted a short to multiple different festivals, spent a chunk of change, got rejected from every single one. Fast forward to October of 2023, I saw an indie Michigan horror short film festival. I was really interested in it because the cost of submissions was like teeny tiny. It was so small. So this inspired me to go all in on my idea for Wait While I Transfer, which is a short film available on this YouTube channel actually. Had horror elements, but it was mostly like a blend of genre as well. During that time, I was working in an office space and going through a routine, and I was constantly stressed. I didn't feel respected in the workspace, and this was around the time that AI technology was a big topic of debate, even for retail workers. So I was starting to feel really replaceable, and I wanted to encapsulate this feeling in a story. Finished it, submitted the short. It didn't get into this festival either, so I ended up just uploading the short to YouTube. And I even made a fake laurel on my thumbnail as an inside joke of how I didn't get into any festivals. DeltonFilmFest official selection. However, I noticed that this indie festival that I submitted to wasn't really a big production or anything. It was just made by some guy, and I sat on this thought for a bit. March of 2024, I was writing the script for The Falling Row, and I had an epiphany. If some random fucking guy just happened to make a short film festival in his mother's basement and be judge, jury, and executioner, I could do the same thing, but better. I could even premiere The Falling Row there. So fuck it. DeltonFilmFest was real. It can't be that hard, right? I brought my idea to a group of people. We were sitting at a bar in Royal Oak. Here's my pitch, all right? Imagine this. The film space in Michigan is pretty niche, especially since for the longest time there were little to no tax incentives, so a big Hollywood wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole. It's mostly just indie projects. The goal was to find unrecognized indie talent in a cool networking event sort of way. The group liked my idea, but justifiably there were a few questions. 1, what's the seating going to be like? 2, how long will this be running for? 3, are there going to be any awards? All great questions. They're all really great. Which I will get to in a few minutes. But I brought up the possibility of free submissions, and the main consensus that everyone seemed to agree on was no, don't do free submissions. And I was like, why not? Free submissions I thought would be a good way to lure anyone in who is potentially interested, especially since it was our first year. Well, you're not going to make back any profit. It'll be completely unprofitable, completely from your pockets. Yeah. Okay. When have I, a filmmaker, ever cared about profit? I'm doing free submissions. The idea of a paid tier was also in the air during negotiations with my colleagues. Pay $5 and you can get a critique on your work. It honestly sounded like a great idea because smaller filmmakers really do value feedback. It's just hard to receive, especially from a festival nonetheless. There was a bit of a plan in motion now, And thus, after the conception, it was time to look into the venue. The first thing to figure out was the venue. There were a couple options I was looking at. The ideal environment for me was comfortable seating, a nice visual aesthetic to the theater, and then a low cost to rent. I kind of knew from the get-go that the Imagine Birmingham 8 was the spot. Had a nice vintage feel with a modernized touch, particularly in the seating with the recliner chairs and the touchscreen soda dispensers. Fantastic. Amazing. Magnificent, in fact. And the process for renting it out was fairly easy. I just needed to contact someone who represented the company. It wasn't hard. The full cost to rent it out with the sign outside, I think, was like around $1,500. And this was just for a smaller sized auditorium for 3 hours with 74 seats. We put a $400 deposit down to sort of reserve it for the date. I signed a contract, all the legal stuff. With that proof all set in stone, we were ready to list the festival online. You can't have a short film festival without other short films. After all, the whole gimmick of DeltonFilmFest was to try and locate other Michigan filmmakers. I listed the festival on Film Freeway. That's the Big Boy Festival website. It's where all the big names are. It was not cheap to list it on Film Freeway, since it was a public event and I had a paid tier. I think I had to spend $100 to list it on there. Over the span of 6 months, we collected over 100 entries, mostly documentaries. A lot of documentaries compared to narrative work. I'm assuming because documentaries are easier to make. Now that the site was live, it was time to push that shit. I made a promo video. I went to Royal Oak and passed out flyers. Film Freeway was pushing the fest in their algorithm. I was on a roll for about 6 months. I was depressed for 2 out of those 6 months, but it was worth it. Fast forward to January 3rd. The deadline for submissions was here. After all that waiting, we actually had a collection of work to look over. Exciting stuff. And the films we ended up going with all had their own voice. They were all unique and impressive in their own way. I don't think we had one bad piece of work, like, if I'm being real. I really don't. After watching over everything, we narrowed it down to like 14 films, including some of our own, making the final list around 16 shorts. The theater gave us... Oh. Was that? The theater gave us 3 hours, and we had exactly 3 hours worth of content, including a 20-minute intermission and an intro. Oh, right. The intro. I had the opportunity to get drinks with Eric Steele. Eric is a filmmaker, actor, festival director based out of Michigan. He's a wonderful guy. He owns a studio space out in Utica. He plays Aladdin in a futuristic parody film of Aladdin. I haven't watched it. It's on Tubi. I have the poster hanging up in my home. But the reason I'm bringing him up is because he's one of the guys that runs the horror film roulette, which is like a Michigan-based horror short film competition. He informed me that if I'm going to do the festival thing, it's a wide idea to announce to the crowd where the bathrooms and the exits are going to be, because people can be little dummies and not have a damn fucking clue. Then the responsibility falls on us for not being clear. I was like, okay, but if I'm going to go about this, I'm going to do it in typical Max fashion and make an intro with my grandmother to play at the very beginning of the show.
We managed to collect over 100 short film submissions, and tonight we couldn't be more happy to showcase the finalists on the big screen. But before we get into it, here is a brief introduction.
It seems the hardest part was done. Now on to the harder part, the DCP. This part's gonna fucking suck to talk about. So going in, it seems simple on the surface, but I didn't really know how we were going to get the films on the screen. The theater offered a Blu-ray option, so you could just play the film on a 4K Blu-ray player. There was a nagging feeling, though, in the back of my head, that this wasn't the highest quality option. Little did I know, I was right. Back in June of 2024, I attended a local filmmaker mixer run by the guys over at the Royal Star Film Fest. It was a wonderful time. I got to meet a lot of cool people, but one of the guys who ran the fest brought something to my attention. Don't use a Blu-ray. It will look ass, guaranteed. You need a DCP file. But what's a DCP? A DCP, or a digital cinema package, is a industry standard cinema file. It contains audio, imagery, all the metadata, etc., so that you can play your film from a digital cinema projector. I thought the process of creating this file sounded like a pain in the ass, and don't get me wrong, it was, but the process is a lot more simpler than I thought, so I'm going to break it down for you. Typically, most avenues to create a file require money. For one, you can export a DCP using DaVinci Resolve, but you can't do it on the free version. Like, to my knowledge, you would need to cough up $300 or pirate it. Unsure. Two, there are third-party websites that can create the file for you, but I was given a quote of $700, including the cost of purchasing a hard drive. I needed a better, more cost-effective alternative. And one of the Royal Star guys let me in on this software called DCP-O-Matic, which is completely free. A few downsides though. One, there is a lot of room for error if you want to do it yourself. The only way you can really check for any bugs is if you take the file that you just made and test it at the theater beforehand. And because DCP files are so big, I'm pretty sure the whole fest was like 200 gigs or more. The export time is outrageous. I think exporting the fest to a hard drive took like 23 hours. Weirdly enough though, as an editor with a lot of rendering experience on shitty computers, 23 hours is child's play. 2. Exporting a file to the hard drive will wipe everything from the drive, at least with DCP-O-Matic, because it formats the SSD to a cinema projector. So once it's formatted, your Mac or PC can't really read that shit anymore. Only a projector can read it. So I had to buy a whole new hard drive for this venture, another $100. Thanks. Exporting the DCP file to a projector also takes a really long time. After handing the theater my hard drive, the file takes a little bit to get on the server, around 5 hours, and then it takes a whole day to get that file onto the projector. Also, you have to factor in that if you want to go to the theater to test the footage, you have to schedule around the other films that are playing at the venue. Essentially, if you have a problem with your footage, you're fucked. The finalists. Over the span of a week, starting on February 14th to the 21st, I collected high-quality copies of the films. I took it over Google Drive or Dropbox. There was a specific case, though, where a filmmaker wanted to submit a DCP of their own because they wanted the highest quality version. Not a problem necessarily, but unless you're paying for a program with a lot of storage to do so, it is literally impossible to send a DCP online. There was an instance where I had to drive over to somebody to pick up a memory card with their film on it, but we had all the films, put everything on a drive, and I was ready to send it to the theater. The venue manager skipped through the file a few times just to make sure there weren't any audio sync issues, and we were good to go. The awards. We bought some plaques for the winners. We balled out. Just kidding. It actually wasn't that expensive to do. You just gotta look in the right place. But we had like custom made plaques with the names of the films and the name of the festival on them. First place we gave to the film Scatterbrain. Really cool lighting, visuals, and ideas. Cade Hopkins is a fucking genius. Second place was given to the film De-Evolution. Amazing acting, storytelling, Hollywood level shit, to be honest. But then there's the audience award. Over the course of 5 minutes, everyone got to vote on a website. Whoever had the most votes at the end would get the audience award plaque. It was given to the film Snack by Johnny Zomberg. The tickets. Film Freeway wasn't gonna let us sell tickets because we were a new event with no previous history of profit. First-year festivals typically don't have access to ticket sales on the website. I think that's really dumb. So I decided to email them, and miraculously, they let me do it. Oh, thank God. So after providing information they were looking for, we listed the tickets publicly on Film Freeway. It was supposed to go up at 2 p.m. a week before the event date. I even advertised it as going live at 2. February 21st, 2 p.m. rolls around. The tickets aren't going up. I'm thinking maybe it's some kind of bug that'll sort itself out soon. A few minutes turns to 15 minutes. 15 minutes turns to 30. And at this point, I'm getting texts and emails asking where the tickets are. Also at this point, I'm crashing the fuck out. Hey everybody, the tickets were supposed to go live at 2 o'clock. They didn't. And I'm irritated. So I had no other choice but to email Film Freeway essentially asking what the fuck is going on. It's really unfortunate because email is their only way of communication, at least as of right now. They don't list a phone number. They don't list anything more direct. And the soonest they typically get back to you is like a couple hours after you mention them. So Film Freeway, get a phone number. They did end up fixing this problem, but the tickets went up at 4 p.m. instead of 2. Whatever. The unexpected happened though. I really underestimated the demand because it's sold out in like 2 hours. Some of y'all will be like, 2 hours ain't shit. Yeah, but like you also have to take into consideration that this festival barely got any promo, like besides a few videos and flyers. The fact that it sold out at all, let alone in 2 hours, was mind-blowing to me. And it made me really happy. Happier than you wouldn't believe. The day of, 10 a.m., manager of the Birmingham 8 sends me a picture of the marquee. I thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen. There were only 74 seats in the theater. I think well over 80 people showed up. There were like people cramming in the doorways, just trying to see if they could watch a good chunk of it. It was crazy. In DCP-O-Matic, I put the films in a very particular order. It was quite specific. I wanted the whole festival to sort of be like an emotional roller coaster, so that by the end of it, the audience felt like they gained something. I'm glad little details like this actually resonated with people.
Max did the film festival. She picked out all of the films, and she even ordered them she put them in an interesting order.
How much time she got on her
That's
hands?
what I said.
Damn.
I was like, bro, what the fuck?
You got the same 24 hours, nigga.
Here's the thing, right? This was a very rewarding project, and I'm happy I faced it head on. But if you want to go ahead and do something like this yourself, expect to put some money down on it, okay? If we're adding up everything, I put down at least $2,000 on this event out of my own pocket, and I saw little return, which is fine. I expected this. In fact, I didn't mind it. The problem is, if I keep doing the same thing every year where I blow $2,000 for fun in this economy, I won't live to see next year. It was a fun experiment to see if I could pull something like this off. I mean, I did it. I knew I could. It's just not financially viable. A big question I've been getting was if there was going to be a sophomore year. Maybe, but I would need help with that. And I mean, a lot of people said that they'd be willing to support it. So what if there was a way to do it again? And there was a way for you guys to support it? Can I get back to you on that? There's a lot of potential for greatness if we decide to do this again. A friend of mine brought up the hypothetical of having a camera setup and potentially live streaming the fest online as it's playing. I think that's a really good idea, but again, that requires money. Would y'all go to DFF year 2? Let me know in the comments below. I really care what you have to say. Thank you all for watching. Go watch my short film. Go listen to my music. I worked really hard on it.
There were so many good ones, bro. It really made me happy just to be around like so much creativity and like so many creative people. Y'all niggas should have came, bitch ass niggas.